Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine you have a car, but not just any car. You have a Ferrari.
Right?
It has this massive, high-performance engine capable of winning basically any race. But there is a huge catch. This Ferrari is equipped with bicycle brakes.
That is a terrifying combination. I mean, you have all the
Mhm.
power to go fast, but no reliable way to actually stop or corner.
Exactly. And that's the central metaphor for what we're engaging with today. We aren't just talking about getting distracted. We are talking about the paradox of the ADHD brain.
Right.
Today, we are doing a deep dive into the work of Dr. Edward Hallowell and Dr. John Rady, specifically looking at excerpts from their book ADHD 2.0.
And these two are absolute titans in the field. What I really love about their approach and what we are going to explore today
Yeah.
is that they don't view ADHD as a defect.
Yeah.
They view it as a collection of intense contradictions. For every weakness that makes life a struggle, there's a mirror strength that can be an absolute superpower.
And that's the hook for me. Because usually when we talk about this, it's all about what people can't do. They can't sit still or they can't focus or turn their homework in.
Exactly.
But Hallowell and Rady flip the script. They argue that this isn't a deficit of attention at all.
No, it is an abundance of attention. It's a variability issue.
Yeah.
It's not that the tank is empty. It's that the nozzle is just spraying everywhere.
So let's get into these mirror traits. The source material lists a bunch of these, but the one that hit me the hardest was the passion paradox. On the one hand, you have this incredible capacity for zeal and idealism.
Right. Think about that friend who falls in love. Whether it's with a person or a hobby or a political cause, they fell hard.
Oh, yeah.
They are all in. It's magnetic. They're the people who end up changing the world because they care way more than anyone else thinks is reasonable.
But then you have the flip side, the problematic mirror, and this is where it gets a little dark. The authors call it Captain Ahab syndrome.
Which is such a perfect literary reference.
It really is.
Captain Ahab didn't just want to catch the whale. He was willing to destroy his ship and his crew to do it.
Right.
In a real-world context, this looks like the employee who is so obsessed with a specific project or a specific way of doing things that they just become rigid. They completely stop listening to reason.
So that passion just calcifies into stubbornness.
Worse than stubbornness, becomes fanatical. You become blind to reality. You might be the most passionate person in the room, but if you were sinking the ship to prove a point, that passion is a liability.
That is such a fine line to walk. It reminds me of the idea generator trait they discuss. I think we all know someone like this. Their brain is like a popcorn machine.
Pop, pop, pop. Constant explosions of new thoughts.
And that sounds great, right? You're a visionary. You're the person in the meeting who says, wait, what if we tried this? But the downside seems pretty exhausting.
It's tragic, actually. The authors describe it as ideas choking the growth of one another.
Wow.
Imagine you have a garden and you plant 1,000 seeds in 1 square foot. Nothing grows because there is no rule.
So you have a million brilliant business ideas, but you never actually file the LLC for any of them.
Exactly. The source material points out that people with this wiring often get bored by the implementation phase. The dream is exciting, the spreadsheet is boring.
So they just jump to
the next dream. They might ignore reality entirely because the flight of fancy gives them a dopamine hit that paying the electric bill just doesn't provide.
Speaking of paying bills and deadlines, we have to talk about time. This part of the research actually made me laugh out loud because it is so relatable, even if you don't have a diagnosis.
The time blindness.
Yes. The authors claim that for the ADHD brain, time isn't linear.
It's really not.
Yeah.
In the neurotypical world, we have past, present, future next month. For the ADHD brain, there are effectively only 2 times, now W and not name of you.
Now and not now. But I have to play devil's advocate here for a second. Isn't that just a fancy excuse for procrastination? I mean, everyone puts stuff off. How is this a neurological condition and not just someone being lazy?
That is the million-dollar question. The difference is the blindness.
Yeah.
It's not that they are consciously choosing to ignore the deadline. It's that the deadline literally does not register as real until it enters the NLW.
Okay.
If a project is due in 3 weeks, it is in the not now bucket, which means it might as well be due in 3 decades. It doesn't exist.
Until it's the night before.
Right. And then it enters the NLW.
Yeah.
And suddenly sheer panic sets in. But here is the mirror trait. That panic triggers a hyper-focus. They can do 2 weeks of work in 6 hours.
The crunch time hero.
Yes. But the cost is enormous stress. It is a high-octane way to live constantly crashing from crisis to crisis.
There is another trait here that feels distinctly social. Honesty. We usually think of honesty as a virtue. The useful side is that these folks are honest to a fault. They are the truth tellers.
But the problematic side is that they have zero filter. They're blunt and outspoken.
Like, does this dress make me look bad?
Yeah.
Terrible.
Exactly. And they don't mean to be cruel. That's the important distinction Hallowell makes.
Yeah.
They aren't trying to hurt your feelings. They are just reporting data.
Just giving the facts.
Right. They value the accuracy of the statement more than the social nuance of the situation. But in a workplace or a marriage, that could be devastating.
It seems like there's a theme here of intellect versus regulation. Like, the brain is smart, but the manager is asleep. The authors mention the steel trap memory.
Yes, the ability to recall obscure trivia from 1998 with perfect clarity.
And
yet they walk into the kitchen and have absolutely no idea why they are there. Or the example from the book that I love, leaving a bag of groceries on the roof of the car and driving off.
You've definitely done the coffee cup on the roof thing, but this is chronic,
It's
right?
like pervasive. And it highlights that this isn't a memory problem. The hard drive is fine. It's the RAM that's glitchy. It's an attention allocation problem.
Let's shift to what drives this engine, because there is a section here on independence that really struck me. The text says there is an intense desire to be free to be your own boss.
Which is why you see so many entrepreneurs with this profile. They cannot stand to be managed.
But that has to make working in a normal corporate job an absolute nightmare.
It does. The source explicitly lists trouble working on teams and trouble taking orders as the problematic side. If you have a brain that craves autonomy, having a middle manager explain protocol to you doesn't just feel annoying. It feels physically painful. It feels like a cage.
And they need stimulation, too. The authors call them life enthusiasts. They want to bite into life. But then there's this phrase that stopped me cold. Finds contentment too bland.
That is a heavy concept.
It is. Contentment is too bland. That sounds so destructive.
It can be. Imagine you finally have everything you wanted. The job is stable, the relationship is good, the house is quiet. For a neurotypical brain, that is peace. For an ADHD brain, that's torture.
So they sabotage it.
Subconsciously, yes. They might start an argument, or spend money they don't have, or make a risky career move just to generate friction.
Because friction creates heat.
And heat is stimulation. They feel more comfortable in a crisis than they do on a quiet Sunday morning.
That perfectly explains the risk-taker trait. They are calm in emergencies because that is when their brain finally wakes up.
Precisely. If your house is on fire, you want an ADHD brain in charge. They will be cool, calculated, and effective. But if you want someone to do the taxes, maybe not.
Okay, so we have established the wiring. You've got a Ferrari engine. You've got a driver who hates speed limits, and you've got bicycle brakes.
Yeah.
Now, how do we upgrade the brakes?
Yes.
The book goes into massive detail on medication. And I have to say, as an outsider, I just thought it was all Ritalin right.
That is the common assumption. But the science here is fascinatingly complex. We're moving from psychology to biology now.
Yeah.
And we have to address the elephant in the room. We are talking about stimulants, amphetamines and methylphenidate, speed. A lot of people look at this and say, why would I give a hyperactive person a stimulant? Isn't that dangerous?
Yeah, that seems completely counterintuitive to me.
It's all about the delivery system. The problem isn't the drug, it's the spike. If you take a stimulant and it hits you all at once, you get high and then you crash. The innovation Hallowell and Rady highlight isn't just the chemical. It is the engineering of the pill itself.
This is where we get into the ROS pump. I read this section 3 times because it sounded like sci-fi. This is in Concerta, right?
Yes. The ROS osmotic pump. Think of it like a very sophisticated hydration system for your brain. It's a capsule that uses a laser-drilled hole and a push mechanism. It releases the medication in 2 phases.
Biphasic.
Right, so you swallow it. Phase 1 is the booster rocket. About 22% of the medicine is released immediately. That is to get you out of bed, through the shower, and to work.
And then
The pump takes over. It physically pushes the remaining 78% out gradually over the next 9 hours.
so you don't get the roller coaster effect.
Exactly. It mimics the body's natural need for sustained focus. It's designed to keep you in orbit during that boring 2 p.m. meeting without making you feel jittery.
But there is a massive consumer warning in the text about the specific drug. If you are taking generic Concerta, you might be in trouble.
This is a critical consumer watchdog moment. The authors note that the FDA has actually downgraded many generic versions of Concerta to BX status.
CX status.
It means they are not therapeutically equivalent. They do not have the ROS pump mechanism. They might just be a tablet that dissolves unpredictably. So you think you were getting the sophisticated rocket ship, but you are actually getting a hang glider.
And the pharmacy might just swap it out without even telling you.
They often do because it's cheaper. The source advises that if you need the generic, you must ask for the Patriot version. It's the only one authorized by the brand name manufacturer to be a true substitute.
Wow.
If you are taking this and feeling like it's not working, you need to check your label.
That is incredibly valuable for anyone listening. Okay, let's look at the other class. Amphetamines. Adderall and Vyvanse. What is the difference there?
Adderall XR uses a bead system. If you open the capsule, it looks like little sprinkles. Half of them dissolve now, half dissolve later. But Vyvanse is chemically clever. It's a prodrug.
Prodrug sounds like something an athlete gets banned for.
It just means the drug is inert. It's inactive when you swallow it. It cannot do anything until it hits your digestive system. Your red blood cells literally have to chew off a lysine molecule to activate it.
Why go to all that trouble?
Smoothness, because your body has to metabolize it to activate it. The curve is incredibly gentle. It peaks in about 3.5 hours and lasts up to 13 hours. It's much harder to abuse because snorting it wouldn't do anything. It needs the stomach enzymes to work.
There is also a practical tip I noticed for parents here, the applesauce factor.
Oh, yes.
Almost every one of these extended release charts, like Focalin, Ritalin, LA, Aptensio, has a note that says can be opened and sprinkled on applesauce.
It shows the authors really understand the patient. Swallowing a giant pill is a barrier for kids and even many adults. Knowing you can break the mechanism out of the shell and mix it with yogurt or applesauce without breaking the chemistry is a game changer for compliance.
No, not everyone can take stimulants. Maybe you have a heart condition or you just don't like how they feel. What are the options there?
The main one is Strata or atomoxetine. It works on norepinephrine, not just dopamine.
Yeah.
But the key takeaway from the source is patience. Stimulants work in 30 minutes. Strattera takes weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you have to let it build up in your system, almost like an antidepressant.
And then there are the blood pressure meds.
And guanfacine, yes.
Yeah.
It helps modulate the emotional regulation side of things. But there is a very weird, very specific warning in the text for this one.
Lay it on me.
Do not eat a high-fat meal with it.
Wait, so no bacon cheeseburgers?
Not right when you take the pill. The source warns that high-fat meals can drastically increase the absorption rate. You could end up with toxic levels of the drug in your system just because you had a greasy breakfast.
That is crazy. Okay, we have covered the traits, we have covered the meds, but let's step back. How do you actually know if you have this? I mean, I lose my keys, I zone out during meetings. Do I have ADHD?
This is where we need to be careful. The DSM-5, which is the diagnostic manual, sets a pretty high bar. It's not just about having the symptoms, it's about the impact.
What are the criteria?
You need 6 or more symptoms for at least 6 months, or 5 if you're an adult over 17. But the kicker is the 2-setting rule.
Meaning?
The symptoms must interfere with your functioning in 2 or more settings: home and work, school and sports. If a child is an angel at home but a terror at school, that might be a learning disability or a teacher conflict. It's not ADHD.
Right, because ADHD goes with you everywhere.
Exactly. It's the engine of the car, not the road you are driving on. And for adults, the presentation changes. The text notes that hyperactivity in a 40-year-old doesn't look like running around the classroom. It looks like extreme restlessness. It looks like wearing other people out because you can't stop talking or fidgeting.
So if you do fit the bill, pills aren't the only answer, right? The end of the source material has this massive list of resources. It felt like they were shouting, don't just take the meds.
Absolutely. Pills build the brakes, but they don't teach you how to drive. That is where the ecosystem of support comes in.
They talk a lot about coaching. How is that different from therapy?
Therapy usually looks backward. Healing trauma, understanding feelings. Coaching looks forward. The resources listed like the ADD Coach Academy focus on executive function.
Like practical steps.
Yes. How do I organize my day? How do I remember my keys? How do I break this giant project into small, manageable pieces? It is purely tactical.
And what about the Hallowell centers they mentioned?
They focus on a strength-based approach. And this is vital. If you only focus on fixing what is wrong, you crush the spirit. You have to identify the Ferrari engine, the creativity, the empathy, the energy, and then build a life that uses it.
I also noticed a reference to JAN, the Job Accommodation Network.
This is crucial for anyone listening who is in the workforce. ADHD is a recognized disability under the ABA. Jane helps you understand what accommodations you can ask for.
Like what kind of things?
Maybe you need noise-canceling headphones allowed in the office. Maybe you need written instructions instead of verbal ones. You have rights.
It really seems like the goal isn't to become normal.
No. Normal is not the goal. The goal is to be functional and fulfilled.
So what does this all mean for us? We have looked at the popcorn brain,
Huh?
the rocket ship pills, and the coaching tactics.
I think the big takeaway from ADHD 2.0 is that you are managing a paradox. You have traits that are simultaneously your greatest assets and your biggest liabilities. The passion that makes you a great leader is the exact same passion that makes you a stubborn partner. The creativity that makes you an inventor is the same chaos that makes you messy.
You don't want to kill the chaos completely or you lose the magic.
Right. You don't want to swap the Ferrari engine for a minivan engine just to be safe.
Right.
You want to keep the horsepower. You just need to upgrade the brakes. You need the meds, the coaching, and the structures to handle the speed you are capable of going.
Upgrade the brakes and win the race. I love that. But it leaves me with one final thought based on all this biology and evolutionary wiring we just discussed.
What's that?
If this brain type is so incredibly persistent across human history, maybe it wasn't a disorder for our ancestors. What if society actually needed the people who were awake to every sound, the risk takers, the hyper-focused hunters to survive? And maybe the real issue isn't the Ferrari engine at all. It's just that the modern corporate office is a terrible racetrack.
That is a brilliant way to look at it. The context dictates whether it's a deficit or an advantage.
Something for everyone to chew on. And hey, if you are listening to this and looking into those generics, seriously, check the bottle. It might save you a lot of headaches.
Knowledge is the best prescription.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We will catch you on the next one.